Hi everyone, my name is Patrick Akil, and for today's episode, we cover the Cloud Security Podcast. Yes, I had my friends on from the Cloud Security Podcast. They were in Amsterdam, and we managed to make this happen in person at the very last minute. We cover how they started and how they've been working together while being married with this whole podcast thing. High highs and low lows, and we cover, obviously, a little bit of cloud security in between there as well. Shilpi Bhattacharjee and Ashish Rajan, I'll put the socials of both of them in the description below. Check them out. And with that being said, enjoy the episode.
Wait, that's where the headphones make sense.
Absolutely.
Because you can hear yourself going off the mic that way. So I guess to what you were saying, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have the conference, and Wednesday evening, we have a meetup, with a tech fashion meetup.
Okay.
I was just telling your colleague earlier that the intent was not to, kind of like what you're doing over here with the podcast, not to be too technical.
Yeah.
So we have two talks there. But the intent is to come in your best tech fashion gear. It could be your conference swag. It could be your favorite keyboard.
Nice.
It could be something that you got from a conference. So just bring something which is fun to the meetup, basically, which is so it doesn't make it like a boring. You come in, Ashish or Patrick are talking, and after that, basically go for drinks and just leave. We didn't want to do that, so that's why we changed it to let's do a tech fashion meetup. We have a DJ in the end as well.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Nice, man. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I like that it's not just one directional, because a lot of conferences are like, I speak for 50 minutes. So this is my thing. And afterwards, you sometimes have questions or sometimes not even. But as the audience, sure, it's informative, but it's way better if I can engage, right?
Of course.
Those are the best ones and the most memorable ones.
100%, yeah. I think at least you walk out of it thinking you found some value.
Exactly. And that's, if you're hosting that whole thing, that's the best feeling, right? If you give people value in that way.
Oh my God, yeah. I think, and it's funny, I don't know if people realize the long-term value of the giving value part.
Yeah.
I think what we started the conversation with earlier when we met here outside, the whole knowledge sharing piece.
Yeah.
How many people actually freely give their knowledge? And it just built on, I was telling this to your colleague earlier that we started this thing called, this is my cloud security architecture as a thing. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from a lot of consulting companies, because what we share there is what a lot of consulting companies actually charge people for. But we're just giving it out there for free, because I'm like, there is no point in hiding this information. And because in my mind, to what you were saying, if you share your knowledge, it doesn't make you any dumber.
No.
It just means that you get another perspective from another person. But then also at the fact that at the same time, you learn and you elevate one more level, because you've heard enough perspective to know, Patrick's perspective was amazing.
Yeah.
Or Shilpi's perspective was amazing. And now I have this third dimensional view of the same thing that I've been thinking about single dimensionally. Now I have two more opinions that that was interesting. I should probably talk more about that. I kind of align more with what Patrick said or what Shilpi said.
Yeah.
So 100% on knowledge sharing is amazing. I think that it's very underestimated, but I wish more people did that.
I agree. I think knowledge is a thing that gets sharper and sharper the more you share it. Right? It's like honing your skills, honing any skills.
Yeah.
By sharing your knowledge, first of all, you get better because of it. You get better at explaining it.
Yeah. Other
people share their perspective. It changes your perspective, and it hones it, right?
It does.
Then all of a sudden it becomes memorable to other people.
And it's also challenging as well, because you almost are being vulnerable, because when you put yourself out there, you share what you know.
Yeah.
Now you're like, okay, I can't really say that I have to learn something better to be better than the previous version of myself. Like, what else can I do to make myself even better than what I was yesterday?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of another level of challenging yourself as well, if you're looking for that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's vulnerable in that people love giving critique, but they don't love sharing that knowledge the same way you do, right?
You're
that's vulnerable
right.
in that way.
All three of us putting ourselves out there. And when this podcast goes live or goes on YouTube, whatever we might end up saying over here that goes onto the episode, some of it may become controversial, even though we don't intend it to be controversial, because all of us just want to have a good life, drink coffee, have some food, enjoy a normal life. But clearly, I may say something right now, or she might say something right now, even though unintentionally might offend someone, hopefully not. But it's one of those things but I didn't mean it that way. And the moment is gone.
Yeah.
But I believe if you don't put yourself out there, it's not fair, because then you're not allowing yourself to grow. You're not allowing others to grow. And in that 100, 200 people, like at the moment, our podcast gets about 10,000 plus episodes. 10,000 plus viewership per episode. And
that's crazy.
There's a lot of people who talk about the fact that, this is not common. So a lot of people who are experienced look at that and go, oh, this is pretty good. Like I don't have to tell anyone. I can just direct them over there.
Yeah.
Whereas the other half is also people who just don't like the popularity with it. It's just like, well, I had the same idea. Like, I think I remember I got this message one day that, I was going to start the podcast with the same name, but you took it. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know that?
Exactly.
You were
I'm sorry?
Yeah. Do you want me to say sorry? Or like, where is this coming from? And it's like things like that. So some people are just like, and I don't have any negative feeling for that person because of that.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel that they're just like mix of people. And in a way, that energizes me to as well know, I'm helping that many people every time I share something information out, which is valuable.
Yeah.
It's going to share some, but there is going to be some negative coming back, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because I know I don't intend to hurt anyone, or I don't intend to be offensive to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good mindset to have, right?
Yeah.
I think if people think of, okay, I took that name, but you took it, like that's such a weird thought. You'd be like, that's awesome. I had a great idea. Someone else already ran with it.
Yeah, that's right.
I can think of another one, right? Or I can do better, or I can improve. People usually love pointing fingers and don't really look at a mirror or look at themselves. Like it's such a weird mindset to have.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe it's the way they were brought up. Maybe I don't think it's in their nature. I think it's due to circumstances.
Of course, yeah.
But I've just never had those same thoughts. Like I'm genuinely happy if other people are doing good.
Same.
Right? Because then it's possible for me to also do good. Yeah. I look up to people. I can be like, I can also do that. It just takes time and effort. And once you realize that, okay, all it does is take time and effort, and it might take you less time and effort, might take you less time and effort than it does me.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I shouldn't start. It just means I have to get started because it's going to take some time and effort.
And even that itself is so hard.
Yeah.
Like just starting something. I mean, we talk about this quite often about starting the podcast. We talk to a lot of people who are starting the podcast. Some do really well, like, put the effort and just go all the way.
Yeah.
Some do the pod fade thing as well. And you feel kind of bad, but you also understand because life gets in the way as well.
Yeah.
So it's not fair to judge everyone who's basically going through a pod fade to kind of feel, I wish they had more. But I mean, life is difficult in general outside of all the podcasting and knowledge sharing.
Yeah.
It's not like that easy to just like day to day. You want to be happy 24/7, but happiness meter is run by some of the parameters which probably are not the same in a podcast game. It's more in like doing something more personal or more private, and that's completely fine as well.
Yeah. It's not for everyone, right? Like, I think it's good that people try doing podcasting if they think they want to, but if it's not for you, that's fine. You gave it a go, like everything else in life. I'm sure we've all picked hobbies where we go, that would be cool, but then you kind of go, actually it's not for me. So I think a lot of people think they want to start one, but if they've done, say, 10 episodes and they're like, no, this is not for me, and that's fine as well. I think it's important to at least give it a go. I think that's what we get a lot of people asking about, how do you start a podcast, or should I start one? I always say, like, look, if you've thought about it, definitely start one. Nice. Give it a go. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. It might grow into, like, I think when we were starting on this journey, someone had said something quite interesting. They said that it'll never fail. It'll just become something else.
Yeah.
So it's, it may take you in a different direction. You might find there's a part of the process that you really enjoy, and you take that on board. So, I think it's important to start and give everything in life a go. And you never know what it might become.
I really like that. It'll never fail. It'll just turn into something else.
Yeah.
Because experience is experience, right?
Yeah.
If you have those thoughts and you never do it, then you're always going to wonder what if, right? And if you do it and it's not for you, you're like, I know now it is not for me. And I appreciate other people doing it and running with it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I'm going to try other things, right? Because we don't just take one path and it's very linear. No, it goes all over the place and it circles back and you end up where you end up because of the choices in the experience you have.
Yeah.
And that's your journey. Everyone's journey is unique. Doesn't matter when you end up or where you are now. It can evolve and it will.
Yeah, and it's funny, I think, because the hoodie she's wearing has got a interesting quote on it. Says success, but it's not about making sacrifices.
No sacrifice, no success.
Yeah, well, there is one about the fact that if you don't sacrifice for the things that you want, the things that you want becomes your sacrifice.
Okay.
So for me, it was like interesting that to your point about trying different things, doing a linear path.
Yeah.
I want to bring to the inspiration part of it as well. When, say, people see you do the podcast or they see us doing the podcasting, if you're able to inspire someone, there is nothing more positive than that. Like, I think I just cannot imagine anything more positive than that.
Yeah.
You don't have to sacrifice a lot of things, but sometimes you do many sacrifices here and there. But being able to inspire a lot of people and share at a scale, I think this was not available for our parents' generation.
Yeah.
But we have this. I imagine like someone would have to be like, I don't know, Pope, I guess, to have that kind of a, like, that kind of a reach that you just say one word and hello, and suddenly everyone around the world is like, oh my God, Pope said hello. Yeah. But now we're sharing information or sharing knowledge over here. And how we don't know how many people would end up listening to this in the entire lifetime of this episode being online.
Yeah.
And how many people it may touch. Just one random conversation about inspiring people may inspire someone to start a podcast and reach out to you, reach out to her, say, hey, I heard that episode, it was great. Would love to talk to you more about it. Yeah. Like things like that were not even possible before. So very inspiring.
Yeah.
We live in a lovely age. I feel we're very lucky that it's easy to depart information. Like maybe 20 years ago, you couldn't start a podcast. You'd probably have to, rent a big studio. Like now all you need is like, a mic, you've got your laptop. Most people can, like we started very MVP, like just with a phone and I think your laptop, and that was our initial podcast setup.
Love that.
And everyone can do that. And that's the real brilliant thing, that you don't have to invest a lot. That comes with time. But you can get started really. And we live in an age where that's possible, where technology wasn't there, 20, 30 years ago, that you could just, start every dream that you have, become a YouTuber, like, you're on the television all the time and all you need is just a phone. That's really, really great that, we do have a lot of potential at the moment.
That's a great story there. But when we were on our way to New York for a conference a couple of weeks ago, we came in a flight called Qantas, which is an Australian flight. And we were at the counter, and the lady at the counter who was helping us check in, when she realized we are podcasters or YouTubers, she's like, it's a lot of money to spend before I can start podcasting. And Shilpi, I think you should probably finish the story. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, we told her that, obviously we told her about how we started, and a lot of the platforms, if you're just starting off, are actually free to sign up on as well to distribute. And we gave her a few things, and she actually wanted to start a podcast about being an air hostess and all the funny stories that, experiences they had. And we said,
nice.
Just do it.
Yeah.
And she took down the notes. And I really hope she does start something. But, just that, as we were talking about, that inspiration and sparking energy and knowledge sharing, and could be just entertainment or whatever. I think that's something really powerful, that you can do these days.
Yeah, I like that. I think starting is the hardest part to a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
Because you just see an uphill battle and you're already behind. And even if you admire people and they inspire you and you feel like you want to be kind of there or even close to that, you feel like you're already so far behind, right? Starting is so hard.
Yeah.
But from our perspective, the only thing we do is we throw something in the fold and other people take it with them and they get a really good feeling with that and they do something with that.
Yeah.
And we might not ever know what that is, right? And it's the same with a real conversation. When someone says, I think it's really hard to start.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is how you make it small, right?
Yeah.
And you say, I hope you actually start.
Yeah.
They might, and that's really cool. Or they might not, but at least they know that it's an option for them.
At least you've given them something tangible.
Yeah.
Which is really important. So I think that's something that we always try to do when people ask us, is try to give them a few tangible things, like this is where you can host, this is the cheapest mic which you can buy. And this is... And give them the tools. And as you said, if they go with it, you've done your part. You've given them the knowledge that you can, and then it's up to them. And if they don't, that's fine as well.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. I wonder, how did you meet and when did the podcast when did the ball start rolling?
Yeah. So we've been together. So we're husband and wife, which I think is a great combination for working together as well.
That.
No, it's not.
So we've been together for 14 years, so for a long time, and the podcast is only 3.5 years old. So I think for us, definitely, I think we started at the right time in our relationship as well, because I think we've gone through a lot of maturity. I think working together is completely different than being, husband and wife. So I think just finding that balance has been really important. So Ashish started the podcast back in 2019. This was like just the beginning of the pandemic. We used to run a lot of DevSecCon meetups in Melbourne, Australia. And when the pandemic was just starting off, a lot of people were wanting to know more about cloud security, because cloud security still is, and back then even more so, was something very new and there wasn't enough knowledge. And Ashish would get approached quite often saying, oh, can you tell me about this, tell me about that. And we were thinking about how do we scale this whole thing? How do we I mean, as much as we love, having those individual conversations, we want everyone to be able to access this information. And I think you just started the podcast. You said, I'm just going to find some interesting people who are working in the space. I think this was someone from AWS. He was happy to have a chat, and he started, with his iPhone, laptop, and I think we have on Twitter somewhere actually the picture of our first setup.
Nice.
And he just kicked it off. And every week he would just speak to someone casually, and it just started growing. People were loving it. They were really grateful for it. I only came in 6 months in when it started really growing, and I was like, okay, look, there's something here. I come from an operations and logistics background, so for me, it's all about, how do we scale this? How do we actually make this a thing, and not just you hanging out with someone
Yeah, basically
on the
that's what it
weekend
was
having
initially.
a good chat.
Like
I'm like,
that.
look, I mean, this is clearly giving people a lot of value.
Yeah.
And so that's when I hopped on board, and we tried to tweak a few things. So we introduced, we do a monthly theme on the podcast. So every month we have a different, so it'll be an AWS month or a Kubernetes month. So we tried that. Then we've started obviously, tweaking bits and bobs. And I think initially we definitely had some teething issues because we've never worked together. We both had very different day jobs. So how do we, draw the line between being, husband and wife and business partners? And I would say first year was definitely interesting. We were obviously disagreeing at different things, which is really important. You don't want to have the same opinions.
Yeah.
But I think now I feel we are now in a good groove where we can, be business partners when we need to, and just obviously be husband and wife when we need to as well.
That is so cool. That's so cool. I mean, especially to me, I have a YouTube channel with my girlfriend as well. We do workout stuff as well. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, we're kind of involved in kind of a professional matter. And it is
How's that
some
working
hard
out?
stuff. Yeah, no.
How's that working out for you?
No, it is difficult. Yeah, exactly. The line blurs between your professional life and your personal life, right?
Yeah,
And especially everyone's working from home. That already happened.
Yeah.
And we've gotten to the part where I'm responsible for editing and video production and all that stuff. And she's responsible for creating workouts, doing the camera work and all that stuff.
Yeah.
She also has a sister involved, so it's kind of a weird dynamic there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gets real difficult. You have to put up boundaries. You have to say, okay, this is what I expect of you, and you have to tell me what you expect of me.
That's right.
And it's different than in a relationship. It's more on it helps that you're in a relationship, right? But if something happens in your kind of work environment, it kind of bleeds through in your relationship side as well.
I've got stories about that as well. I think we had to come up with these rules where at what point
Ground rules
for
no
not talking about business.
Conversation in the bedroom, I think.
Number one.
Number one. I remember one day, and it was just I don't know, it was late because we ended up working really long hours as well, especially before, because we were this was something we were doing on the weekends and on the evenings, and we both had full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And I think this would have been late 12, 1 p.m. We've had a whole day of work, and I think I was about to fall asleep, and he started talking about something work-related, and I'm like, no, cannot happen.
At the moment.
I cannot, I said,
it.
can we just bedroom, the minute we enter the bedroom, no conversation about work. Because you don't switch off. And I think that, you the whole burnout thing as well is quite real when you're running your own thing. You're so passionate about it. You want to do it all the time. But you're in it for the long run. I always say it's a marathon, not a race. So you've got to find ways to preserve yourself. And I think that becomes really important when you're working with someone who's family, because it is everywhere and you can so easily have work all the time. It's important to have that balance.
Yeah, I really like that because it feels like a race. You want to get to the end as far. I don't even know what the end is, but you want to get there as fast as possible, right? And having that mantra of it's not a race, it's a marathon.
Yep.
And we will get there whenever we get there, but we have to experience life, right?
That's right.
We have to go through the gears, go through the motions, have fun with it, right? Keep having fun with it. Otherwise, it's never going to last.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. Doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're doing something creative, I think it's so important to keep, your mind healthy as well, because it is such a creative process. Everything that you do, the conversations that, even you have, you've got to feel inspired. And if you're run down and, know of energy, it just doesn't happen. So, you definitely, I think especially if you're doing something creative, it's so important to preserve your energy and, know your markers, if know when, okay, I need a break from something or, things like that. It's really important to call that out and have boundaries. So I think we've come up with some as we've gone through it. So we've been doing it for 3.5 years, but we're not perfect yet. But I think every 6 months we get a little bit better, I think.
Yeah. I don't think perfection is something you'll ever reach. You'll never be okay, we're perfect now. You'll always see things you can improve. And I think it's fine like that. Yeah. You have to accept that and you just keep going.
100%.
Yeah. What was your perspective on that? Was it kind of hard when she jumped on? Or did you?
Well, I think I definitely say one of the reasons. So initially it was a great conversation, and I was just hanging out and just talking to interesting people like yourself on the other end.
Thank you.
And when she came over and she's looking at this and going, because I don't think I was a business person before, right?
Okay.
And I never thought I'll start a business or whatever, especially in the cybersecurity media space. That was always like, oh, I'm a technical person. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Marketing, media is not my thing.
Not my thing.
But later on, there's a bit of background there as well, because we were doing men's fashion as well as food and travel. Like that's where we are such massive foodies as ourselves. And although that completely stopped at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were trying to find what's that creative outlet outside of our work, that's when this kind of podcasting thing kind of came around. And it was really interesting that in the beginning, I was just meeting random people and going, because that was me before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I'll meet Patrick. I'll go, hey man, we should go for a coffee together. Let me talk to me about your lifestyle.
Yeah.
What gets you up in the morning? And let's talk about that for half an hour. That was most of my days where I love talking about people and just meeting different people. Once that completely stopped and I got that outlet again with virtual calls, and even though it's not the best experience, but at least you still get to meet another person on the other end of the Zoom or wherever.
Right.
When she came on board, and we're like, well, you're getting, I think by within the first 6 months, we were already crossing 5,000 impressions, right? And we're going,
Good stuff.
I'm like, I don't know if this is normal.
What is happening?
Yeah.
Why are people listening to this?
Yeah, I'm like, this is just conversations between two people who are just hanging out. Because to the point that I started it off as virtual coffee with Ashish.
Okay.
The intent was like, well, it's just going to be me. I'm going to have virtual coffee with
chat.
Patrick because I can't have actual coffee, but I'm just going to have virtual coffee.
Yeah.
And I think if people go back enough on the episode, they'll find I still say, oh, welcome to Virtual Coffee with Ashish. It was not even called Cloud Security Podcast. And now, as when she came on board, she was like, well, if you want to make it a business, how do you get sponsors?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, sponsors would like what I'm talking about. Like, no, that's not how sponsorship works. And it became a conversation where having her on board definitely gave me a different perspective of how this can become something much bigger. Like to the point that now, 3.5 years in, we are into this full time now for the past 2 months.
Yeah.
That would not have happened if she didn't come on board and kind of gave it some direction. Like the whole monthly theme, she kind of just said it in 5 seconds, but that has such a profound impact on the way people are consuming the content. Now people know that, oh, every month, like for example, this month we're talking about modern security application stack.
Yeah.
What does that look like? We talk about API security. We talk about sec data ops. We spoke about security monitoring in a modern cloud world. What does that look like? I mean, these are all great topics, but the older Ashish, before she came, I would have just had that one episode here, another episode in 3 months later, 4 months later. So people are even confused. Like, what am I really listening Ashish for? Right? Because after you get to a certain scale, you kind of realize in the beginning, it's fine to just have an open theme.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't matter what you talk about because people are there for you or just curious about what you're talking about. Once you start hitting a scale of 5,000, 6,000, there's an expectation that, oh, so I'm coming back to the Cloud Security Podcast because this is the kind of content they produce. And I would not have had that if she did not come in and just say, we need to put this like ducks in the row or however you say it.
Yeah.
And that kind of helped us have a lot more following because after that, a lot of people started reaching out, oh, I'm looking forward to the Azure Security Month. Oh, I'm looking forward to the AWS Security Month.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Kubernetes Month or whatever. I'm like, oh, this actually is a thing. And then we catapulted to like 10,000, 11,000. I'm like going, this is insane.
Exactly.
And this is like, what, third year of us running? And I don't know of how many, there's a very popular cybersecurity podcast called Darknet Diaries.
Okay.
Jack Resider is the person who runs it. Very anonymous, but we got to meet him at Vegas a couple of months ago. And he knew about it. He came on the show as well. And I was like,
stuff.
This guy gets millions of downloads, by the way. And he knew about it. It's like, there you go. That to me was like, okay, there is something here.
Yeah.
And we just need to continue going that path. And I think having her as my co-founder was the best thing I could have done for the podcast at that point. I know it kind of creeps into the personal life, but once we got through the whole, is this a work conversation or a personal conversation? What are you angry about? Are you angry about the thing that I said before this started? Or is it the one from the work bleeding in? So once you kind of got through that initial kind of communication issue, if I were to call it that, we kind of have found a rhythm to go, okay, this is work mode, this is personal mode.
We actually call it out sometimes, especially if we want to give like some constructive feedback.
Yeah.
We would actually say, look, this is a work conversation. So just flag it, make it very obvious.
Okay.
Because you need to be able to say those things like, if I think something's not working or if you think something that I'm doing is not working, you need to be able to say that to each other. And, sometimes like if you're doing it at like a breakfast table and we know we're having a personal conversation, we just say, oh, do you mind for 5 minutes if we just switch to a work conversation? So we make that very blatant.
Yeah.
But I think that has worked for us because then we kind of like turn on our work brain on for that second and go, okay, I'm ready to take, like just a professional conversation, and it's not going to be like, oh, why did you say this to me?
Yeah, that is so cool, man. I'm drawing so many parallels in my head. I'm so sorry. We should really go to dinner while you're still in Amsterdam.
For sure.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
But I just love how you two made it work, right? And you were in your corner, like starting a little fire, and then once she saw potential that, she just threw some gasoline on that.
Made it a bonfire.
Exactly. Yeah. Also with my podcast, you and I need to chat out.
It's also the personality as well, right? I think based on the personality you have and your partner have, that makes a difference as well. Because it's almost like when you talk to people who do investments, they talk about you should always have a co-founder.
Yeah.
But what I tell her is that I would at any point in time, even if we were to start another business, I would still start with her. Not just because she's my wife, but just also because the kind of partnership you can have with, say, your girlfriend or your spouse or whoever, the level of honesty and transparency is quite high.
Yeah.
When you have two different people, and nothing against people who have like not as husband, wife, or not as partners, like life partners and starting businesses, but when you're not a life partner, everyone has different priorities. To your point, there's parallels of lives going at that point in time.
Yeah.
You may have something really important at that particular point in your life, which the other person is not experiencing. So
they don't know.
They don't know. Yeah. And they don't have to know as well, but you kind of have to like, how do you make that work in a way that, oh, I can't work this week.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's your partner, you kind of like, oh, I know because so-and-so has happened. So I'm happy to double down on this.
They're in the know.
Exactly. And there is understanding, and it's kind of like a family thing at that point in time. Whereas when it's another person, they may not be comfortable to share that with them from the business side. And you may never find out. You might just think, oh, this person is not a great worker.
Yeah.
Like I did a bad decision by coming into this partnership.
Yeah.
Like I think we've heard of those scenarios as well. So for me personally, the longer that I've worked with Shilpi, I feel like, I want to do more of this with her.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, we're growing teams. We have a couple of people who work with us as well, and a few more now, thanks to the kind of work we're doing full time. But even as much as it can grow and we might bring in more partners, but the initial team for me, it would be this particular dynamic duo that we are.
Yeah.
I think that would be the one that I'll go start off with and I'm sure there'll be things we don't know.
Yeah.
And we'll bring other partners for that as well. But to start off with, at least because the initial piece is the hardest piece. Mm-hmm. Once it catches traction,
you got it.
Yeah. It's like easy,
yeah.
Right? Or you already jump onto a rocket ship, it's already going up.
Exactly.
Like there's very little you can do to screw things up.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's starting, it's probably the most difficult time. Like so for 3 years. Yeah. For 3 years, we've been together onto this mission of making cloud security podcasts being the biggest source for cloud security anywhere on the world.
Yeah.
How does that happen if you not have the grit and understanding to go, I'm gonna go through this through hard grinds, to happy moments, through sad moments, to difficult moments. That's hard. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I'm sure people out there like, I can never work with my husband, or can I never work with my husband?
It has to be at the right time in your relationship. Definitely, because I always talk about the fact that, look, if it was maybe we were together for 14 years, so maybe like the first few years, I don't think it would have been.
That's where I'm at, right?
But that's for us, like every relationship is different and everyone's dynamic is different. And we were much younger when we got together, so you're just different. So I think there are definitely benefits for a couple to be business partners. I guess on the flip side of what Ashish said, which like just from a business risk perspective is also we experience all the negative things together as well. So that means you're kind of, if something bad was to happen, we would both probably be equally involved. Whereas if you have a co-founder who's not in the picture, then they could probably be removed from that and, be able to take on more. So there is that, I guess, more reward versus more risks, I guess. Anything in life, right?
I like that you highlight it because I think the benefits are so good because especially if you come together in a startup or even anything you want to do, right? You need to trust people. And sure, trust comes out of the box. For me, it does to other people. But for someone that has taken that trust and really just established it within your relationship, right? You trust them with everything. They're your partner through thick and thin, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get more foundational than that. Mm-hmm. So to be able to trust them to then start on your business endeavors, right? And you've already established a good way of working, I would assume.
Yeah.
Because you're loving it so far, I think. to just move that forward. And I love that you say it doesn't actually matter what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right. Just having that partner within that process and then taking on anything else that you need to make it actually happen, because it doesn't really matter what you want to do at the end of the day, I think is so cool that you've established that. And I think, a lot of people are seeking that within a co-founder, within a team, within whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
But for you to have found it and to find that within your personal relationship as well, I think is awesome. It's very admirable. Yeah.
Thank you.
Really cool. For you, Shilpi, I wonder, because Ashish started this thing, did you already have a notion of like cloud security or where it was going, or even like on a technical level? Were you always involved? Was that your background as well?
No, so I come from a purely finance and legal background. So I've been
completely something else.
In a way, I guess, it is different. Initially, that's what I was thinking, like, it's so different. I don't even know the field.
Yeah.
How am I going to get involved? But I think essentially, like, I used to deal a lot with business risks. So I used to lead teams that were dealing with legal and financial risk. And cybersecurity, funnily enough, is a business risk. So there were actually a lot more parallels than I thought there were. Conceptually, there's a lot of things that really, like, I just clicked from a business level. I think especially when we're having conversations with security leaders and CISOs, I do find that I can relate to a lot of the problems that they talk about, a lot of the challenges that they're having. I think that was really sort of interesting for me. I've always loved learning new things. So for me, that was really good as well. So initially, obviously, I would say the first 6 months, I was a bit like, I'm not sure, because I do like look after the production of the podcast as well. And initially I was like, what does this acronym mean and stuff? But it's amazing, like in the last 3 years, the amount of information I've been able to absorb. And I've taken the initiative to obviously learn about different things as well. And I actually find it really fascinating. And I think I was definitely at that point in my career where I was looking for something different. I love, sort of, as you said, becoming better every day. And I think that cybersecurity has been just so, I didn't realize how interesting it was. So I really get passionate about it now. So I think it's been a great learning experience. So, and in a way, I'm kind of like our audience. I'm actually listening to things that I want to learn about. So I'm almost on the same journey as our audience, where I'm learning about cloud security with them.
Yeah, that is so cool.
I'm really proud of you for doing that, because I think a lot of people underestimate coming from a non-traditional cybersecurity background.
Yeah.
Like, I did a master's in cybersecurity, but that doesn't make me any more special. But not having a technology background, coming in technology, whoever does that, I think we have had a few people on our podcast who were lawyers before they got into cybersecurity, cloud security. There were people who were like music teachers. And you almost like look at all these different backgrounds coming into that going. But they all, kind of like what she did, they all can draw paddles.
Yeah.
And I'm going, wow. But for someone who's always done cybersecurity, a bit of a bias, I always used to think that we are a bit of a snowflake. That, because I did cybersecurity.
Oh, you're a snowflake.
Yeah, I am in many other ways. Yeah. But it's also fascinating for me that, this kind of proves the point that you don't have to come from cybersecurity or technology. You can pick things up later on. Like, there's so many people who change their career much later in their life.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that, I'm stuck in this field now because this is all I know. I can't learn anything new. Yeah. So I'm really proud of her for doing that.
Yeah, and I think with cloud security, it's a bit lucky because cloud security itself has not been around for that long. So, the inception was 15, 16 years ago. So, like, 3 years in cloud security is actually quite a long time.
Yeah.
I'm not a veteran, but I think I'm intermediate. So, because it's just, technology is just not that new, and most people are still sort of scratching the surface of cloud security. It's interesting because we often, because we are so into it, we forget how much of the world still has not adopted cloud as a way. Like, we still speak to large insurance companies, large banks, a lot of them who are still very much on premise. So it's really interesting to realize that, even though I'm fairly new to it, like, a lot of the industry is still fairly new to it because, it's like adoption is still happening and we're still at the beginning of the journey.
I think it's so cool that you took that something that was interesting and you really just took ownership of that and really went in depth in that as well.
Yeah.
I think the perspective you bring to the table, everyone has kind of a unique perspective they bring to the table, right? Yeah. And it doesn't matter whether you've grown up and you're a seasoned security engineer or what have you, right? If I'm even talking about myself in software engineering, everyone has a unique thing they bring to the table, a unique perspective. Might be your upbringing, might be the environment you grew up in, might be the education you had previously.
Yeah.
You take that with you and it might come in handy, and it usually does.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned is like technology is actually quite simple and the people make it so much more complex, man. Yes, for sure.
Like, shh, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's supposed to be really complex, man.
It's a hard job. Yeah.
It's a really hard job, people.
I think for us as well, one of the benefits is that because he is very technical and he's been doing like cybersecurity for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And I'm slightly newer and come from a different thing. It's been actually really beneficial for our business because the last thing you would want is two people who think exactly the same way. And I challenge a lot of the things because I'm new to the field. I would question a lot of things, which has been really beneficial for the podcast as well, because I come from an almost outsider lens, which is beneficial for the business as well. So that's been really powerful.
I like that you said you're the audience.
Yeah.
If you learn something, if you take something or you take an episode and it brings you value, that's a good thing, right? Because then it might bring other people that same value as well.
Definitely. So, I till today just edit all the podcast episodes, and it's a bit selfish because I actually want to listen to them and listen to them in depth.
Okay.
And I'll always come back to him saying like, this was really valuable. I really enjoyed this, this, like give that feedback because I'm also trying to learn about the topic, which would be the same as what our audience is listening for. So I think that's been really good. It's something that, I get a whole lot of value from myself.
Yeah, that is so cool. Just the continuing improvement circle you have going on, because you also give him feedback and probably he gives you feedback on the editing or what have you as well.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. I think we've gotten to the point now we're actually producing something called Cloud Security Podcast Originals, which is like the Netflix version of cloud security as well.
No way.
That would not have happened if the feedback was not ongoing.
Okay.
There's so many things that I was taking for granted where she would be like, but where is that ever spoken about? I'm like, well, isn't that obvious? Like, no, it's not obvious.
No.
Like, so we started doing these original series where I think you did one on digital supply chain. I did one on zero trust. There's like the idea behind, have you heard of Vox or Vice? So they're popular news media, news journalism kind of channels on YouTube and otherwise. They do documentary style. And we used to watch quite a bit of it. They would cover interesting topics. And we took inspiration from that and started covering interesting topics in the cloud security space.
Nice.
And that got a lot of popularity. We did one of the most popular one is just for the different generations of cloud security posture manager, which is like a tool set framework that Gartner, which is like a very popular. They come out with metrics for what's a great tool in the market.
Yeah.
And
they came up with this.
They're very well known for throwing out acronyms.
Yeah.
So every year they have a different acronym. They mostly start with a C for whatever reason.
So the cloud ones for some reason start with C.
And they keep getting longer. Yeah. So there's like CNAP and there's CWPP and there's just like so many. And one of the things for the industry is there's so many of them coming out and everyone's kind of like, what do they mean?
Yeah.
Like, do I need one?
Do I need all of them or just one?
Which ones?
Yeah, which ones am I going for? So I think it's funny because that's what we're trying to debunk as well, that the marketing around the cloud security space has become so boxed into this particular space that, unless you're working with the 4 C's, you don't really have anything. Like I think that's basically, cloud security is just within those 4 C's, there's nothing else outside of it. And I'm glad that now slowly people are realizing that, actually, why are we talking about developers or software engineers who are basically the people who are actually developing the code?
Yeah.
You guys are just talking about being reactive. And, there's an incident, let's get onto it, right? There's a fire to blow out. But let's just talk about how do we work with the developers, how do we work with the business, and that conversation is slowly coming back into cloud security. And to what Shilpi said, 16 years is not a long time for anything, and even web development hasn't been there for that long as well.
Yeah.
We're all trying to get our different stages of technology, where some people are still working with older technology.
Yeah.
Some people say maybe working in Ruby today and might like, oh my God, I can't believe I work in Ruby. I should be working in Node.js or Go or whatever. Every field has that, and I feel the cloud security space is also in that place where the initial wave was all about the 4 C's from Gartner. And now it's almost like, wait, actually, let's just take a step back. When do I really need this? Because technically, I found the issue, but I can't do anything with it. I still have to go to a developer to fix this.
Yeah.
So why not, right?
Cloud security became a lot about, here's your problem, here's another problem, here's another problem, and there's dashboards of problems. And a lot of organizations are going, okay, great, I know where all my fires are, but
Exactly.
how do I put them out?
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting time. I mean, it's one of those industries that's growing really rapidly, and there's a lot that's happening. But so we've been trying to sort of put content out there that's really easy to consume, that, you know, and it's entertaining. I think that's another thing, that we try and put a bit of humor in it, make it absorbable, because at the end of the day, you know, there's so much knowledge in technology. If any field, you know, be it software development, cloud security, anything, there's so much to consume. And for us, it's all about, has to be short, has to be something that's easy to absorb. You know, you can just listen in like a podcast, you know, that it's relaxing as well. It's not like picking up a book.
It's not that heavy. Yeah. I like that you said easy to absorb, because security and cloud security, obviously as a component of that, I think it's the best when you don't notice it.
Yeah.
When there's no fires and everything is smoothly, and you don't even have to react or act or do anything.
Yeah.
Everything is a smooth operation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that makes it very not tangible for a lot of people, because if you're like, okay, we need these things in place because otherwise these things might happen. They're like, what do you mean might happen? They've never happened.
Yeah.
Why do we need this?
Yeah.
Or they read something and they're like, we need all of this. And you're like, why? What are we trying to solve here? Like, it's not that tangible.
No.
Yet people really need it, because otherwise they're going to be screwed.
I think for the longest time, people used to question whether cloud security is even a thing, because all the cloud providers by nature were meant to be really sort of, there is no breach, you know, they're self-resolving.
Yeah.
A lot of the gaps that come up kind of, you know, auto-remediate, and everyone was like, what is cloud security even a thing? And now, obviously, in the last few years, you know, we've had, you know, things like Log4j come up, and there's all these like different breaches. Like currently, everyone's talking about the Uber breach. So there's lots of these different things that are coming up now. People are like, yep, actually, cloud providers obviously are auto-remediating, but there's a lot of different gaps that are still there. So it's been definitely an interesting transition from going, it's not a thing, to, okay, we need to pay attention to this.
Yeah, exactly.
I love what you mentioned as well, because I think the security being so automatic that you don't even realize it. I mean, I'm an Apple user, and I think if you kind of go back enough, they used to have passcodes. Now after that they have complex ones. Now it's just a Face ID.
Yeah.
Android has those as well. It is a security feature, but it's so frictionless and it's accepted. No one questions it.
No.
When your face doesn't match, you're not thinking, oh, I hate security.
Yeah, exactly.
You're thinking, oh, something's wrong with my face, or something. The thinking is very different.
Yeah.
To be able to do that in the cloud security space is kind of where we want to get to. It's almost so frictionless that when you are blocked, you know you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
You're not blocked because, because something may happen, like the world may fall down.
Yeah.
It's more because, you have been 90% of times you don't even realize it's there. That 10 or to 5% that it's, when you do experience it, it's because something wrong has happened and they just stopped you before it became a thing.
Yeah.
That's where the future is. It's not in, like, clearly Apple, Android, those people have realized this way before. Convincing, like, security, when you talk about cloud security, we're talking about technology people, but they are solving this problem for general consumers. Like every day and day, day in, day out people, grandmoms, granddads, dads, moms, everywhere. They're not technical people, at least not all of them. To convince them to be okay with a Face ID, like that is next level.
Exactly.
Right? Like, and to get to that point is where all of us are striving to. So yeah, if we can get to that point, I'll be nirvana. I'll be amazed. I'll be more than happy if we can get to that point where we don't have to do a job. I think we're thinking of doing more interesting things than thinking about security.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when cloud environments were available, right, we had a landscape of infrastructure and a lot of it was facilitated. And step one is, okay, let's see if we can actually make this work.
Yeah.
Like, can we actually deliver some value to an end customer somewhere?
That's right.
And that was step number one. And when people establish like a proof of concept, they're like, okay, let's make it scale.
Yeah.
And then somehow they're like, at the end, usually, or when something goes wrong, they're like, oh, it wasn't actually that secure. It's because we're still trying to figure out how to use the cloud to its best capabilities, right? And even if you have your application, and even if it is secure, you can still pay a lot at the end of the month by the things that you're using, which you might not actually need.
Yeah.
So the cloud is always this kind of ongoing kind of organism. And we're trying to figure out from an application, from a software engineering perspective, how to best use it, from a security perspective, how to make it the most secure it can be. And then now even from a FinOps perspective, how to kind of reduce global warming and the things that we're using and paying for. Yeah.
That's pretty interesting, man. I think and it's amazing how many people have started talking about the impact on climate with cloud as well.
Yeah.
Like so many Amazon, Microsoft, they all talk about the green evolution as well.
Yeah.
Which I thought is amazing. The fact that, now it's not just a conversation with politics. It's a conversation among technology people as well, where the things we're using can be green as well. And I mean, earlier, just like I make a program or a software, it just goes out in the ether. People use it. I talk about it with my friends and no one ever finds out.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Great stuff. Like, oh, amazing app, like 100,000 downloads, great, amazing. But now to be able to say, oh, it's such a green app, oh, it's running on green infrastructure, that's an amazing feeling to share with people. Like, I personally definitely connect with that when people came out and said that they're going to be green. I'm like, oh, the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Especially if you look at the weather outside and in general, like how dramatically it is changing everywhere.
Yeah.
And people still feel that climate change is not normal. Like,
Yeah.
see, this is a conversation where people just start hate me. I'm like, climate change is not normal. But I think I definitely love that fact that people are trying to go more green.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think it's such an interesting field. We're right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's evolving so rapidly. Right, every new year, every conference that the big cloud providers do, and they bring out new stuff, I'm like, man, this is really exciting.
Yeah.
Right, from a software engineering perspective, a lot of things I give out of hand, and they're, as you say, they're auto remediated, they're auto facilitated, they're auto scaled, they're serverless. So we don't actually have to do a lot of things, but then you still need that knowledge, which is a lot of in-depth knowledge. Because when shit hits the fan, and you don't know about that, then all of a sudden you're screwed, because you do need to have that knowledge, that foundational knowledge of what happens behind the scene, what auto remediates and what doesn't, or what serverless actually does and what you still have in hand, right? I think because everything gets easier, we expect a lot more from the people, right? Whether it's security or software engineering. And I wonder if it goes to a point where it's too much, where something is like, okay, we expect all this huge package just from you.
Yeah.
And the same is required from you. And we're all going to be generalists and we're going to know everything about everything.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest challenges in cloud as well is a lot of like on default things. So a lot of cloud security providers are giving things by default. And when you actually check them, they're not the best one for your organization. As you said, that whole out of the box generalized thing. One of the biggest challenges recently has been that, they're finding that all these defaults are actually not great for their organizations, leaving things open. They're not being configured properly. So there's a lot of those challenges that are coming out as well, which, as you said, because everyone's being possibly a generalist and just uploading things, it does become a bit of a challenge when you go, oh, that thing's on by default and it shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Now, what do I do? Which defaults are correct? So there's a lot of, it was interesting because we've been to quite a lot of security conferences this year, and it's been, I think a lot of people are doing a lot of real good work around educating people about, look, if you've got this application on, say, AWS or whatever, make sure, if these are the defaults, and are you sure if these are the right defaults for you? And same with Azure GCP, it's the same. So as you were quite right, that knowledge is still missing. There's not enough, developers and security people out there.
Yeah.
However, a lot of people are moving to the cloud. So, how do you fix it? And I don't think anyone really has that answer, but it's just
figuring it out.
We're figuring it out.
Yeah. And I love this community in that we do it as a collective, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what it is about this tech space that we have, but when there's information, it's never being held hostage.
Yeah.
It's being spread out to the fold, and
That's
then
right.
people discuss it, and new insights come from that. And people, when you do that continuously, exactly what we said at the beginning, it becomes better of it, and people become more informed of it.
Yeah.
And the world around us becomes better of it as
That's
well.
right. We get to know so much more by hearing someone else's perspective as well. It's not just us talking about it, but other people sharing their perspective, their experience from it. I think it's just for the better. So maybe hopefully after listening to this episode, someone out there starts another version of something that helps the software community as well as the security community as well, just inspired by all the podcast conversation and all the cloud conversation we're having.
I would love that.
Yeah, I would love that as well. Like, it'd be amazing that if they start something. So if someone's listening, please start something.
Exactly. And let us know, because otherwise we'll never know.
Yeah, don't just start and don't tell anyone. Just start and let Patrick or me know, or Shilpi know that, hey, I heard this episode, fun, inspirational, and I'm just going to start a podcast today. And I'm sure you'll be happy to, if people reach out to you and go, where do I start? And I'm sure you can share your opinion at that point.
Absolutely. I love sharing about the things that I'm passionate about.
Yeah,
Who doesn't, right? I just have to find a way to tone it down sometimes. Sometimes might be a bit too much.
Fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember how many times I've talked about the podcast on the podcast. So some people might be sick of it. But I loved how your journey has gone so far. I'm really excited where the future is going to bring you guys. I didn't mean for this to be the main topic. I'm really happy that it got to be though. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing. Is there anything you still want to share with our audience before we leave off?
Well, I think I would probably just say that the first step, whether it's for podcasting or learning about cloud security, can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing you can do is not starting. to learn cloud security or to learn software development or to learn how to do a podcast or that knitting hobby or whatever you want to do. Like, they might be, whatever gets them going. I definitely feel after the pandemic, I've come out of it like on more of a YOLO mode for, hey, we only have one life.
Yeah.
And earlier, before pandemic, I would hear we only have one life. Yeah, I know I have only one life. But now I'm going, holy shit, I only have one life.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm always more conscious of the fact that whenever I do meet someone, if I can leave them inspired to do something, that's for me, my value is delivered. So as I was saying earlier, if someone listens to this and does even one episode on a podcast or a YouTube video or does their first knitting thing or just learn something new today, I'll be more than happy. That's my, I think that's my going away message, I guess.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I think for me, something that I've been saying lately, and I think it's again like from the pandemic, where for most people, a lot of the external stuff was switched off for a good couple of years.
Yeah,
and you had the time to self-reflect and go, okay, what is it that's really important to me? And I think something that I've just been telling everyone is like, start living life on your own terms. Whatever makes you happy, whatever gives you fulfillment, that's what you should be doing. So if that's a podcast for you, or if that's, doing a hobby, a fitness YouTube channel, whatever it is, I think it's really taught us that you just have to, live your life on your own terms and do what makes you happy.
Awesome. I love that both. I'm really elated, guys. I'm really happy we made it happen.
Yeah.
We actually discussed it like 2 days ago, and you coincidentally were in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on and doing this thing. And we're going to round it off here. Shilpi and Ashish, everyone, I'm going to put all their stuff in the description below. Check them out. Let them know you came from us. And thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.